In the vast and varied territories of Mesoamerica, stretching from the arid regions of Zacatecas to the lush environments of Costa Rica, a game known as Ulama existed that was much more than mere entertainment. It held a pivotal place in the cultural and spiritual life of its people, integrating physical prowess with profound religious significance, often culminating in significant ceremonies that determined the fates of its participants. Entire communities come together in eager anticipation around the ball court, a place not just for play but for sacred ceremonies, carved from the land and encased by towering stone barriers. In this arena, the line between the ordinary and the divine faded, as participants adorned in ceremonial garb and body art vied not solely for the honor of their communities or deities, but also engaged in a metaphorical battle for their very survival. The rubber ball used in the Ulama symbolized far more than an object to be propelled. It was an emblem of the celestial cycle, echoing the eternal conflict between light and darkness, life and demise. Stringent rules governed the game, compelling players to maneuver the ball using their hips, thighs, or forearms, aiming to pass it through stone rings situated high on the court's walls. This feat demanded exceptional skill, strategic foresight, and agility bordering on the supernatural. Ulama transcended the realm of mere physical exertion, embodying a live enactment of the mythological struggle between forces of good and evil. Victory in the game could signify divine favor, bountiful harvests, or the aversion of calamities, thereby entwining the entire community in a significant cultural event. The game's impact extended beyond the physical domain. It also served as a means for resolving conflicts among groups without resorting to violence. Leaders staked wealth, territories, captives, and even their dominion over lands on the game's outcomes, thus allowing for the peaceful alteration of political landscapes. Betting among spectators was rampant, with fortunes large and small at stake, adding to the charged atmosphere that surrounded these competitions. The anticipation of what the future held was palpable, affecting not only the participants, but also the assembled onlookers. Despite its crucial significance, Ulama was shrouded in solemn mystique. The conclusion of a match often led to more than mere celebration or sorrow over the outcome. It included ritual sacrifices intended to appease the deities and sustain cosmic balance. The nature of the sacrifice, whether it was for the victors offering themselves in thanks or the vanquished as penance, varied. Yet the possibility of such a conclusion underscored the game's deep spiritual and cultural relevance. The ball courts, or canchas, stand as intriguing relics in ancient Mesoamerican sites. Alongside majestic pyramids and sculptures depicting gods and mythical figures. These spaces were not mere venues for athletic contests. They were central stages for the enactment of cosmic narratives, with human participants playing pivotal roles. Positioned at the heart of cities and aligned with other significant structures, these courts mirrored the cosmos order, reflecting the civilization's deep connection to celestial movements. The game, known variably as Pok Taktli, or Ulama across different cultures, was a cornerstone of Mesoamerican existence, blending sport, spirituality, social customs, and politics. The game's ball, derived from the sap of local rubber trees, symbolized the sun's path through the sky, embodying the perpetual clash between forces of light and darkness, life and death. Players donned protective gear like belts, pads, and helmets to safeguard against injuries from the hefty ball. Victory in the game brought honor and rewards, but the stakes were exceedingly high, as defeat could lead to sacrifice. This stark potential outcome highlighted the game's profound religious and mythological significance, with the fate of individuals and communities often hinging on the results. The detailed sculptures and statues adorning these courts, depicting such sacrifices, remind us today of the game's deep spiritual and symbolic importance. The variety in ball court designs, from the immense arena at Chichen Itza to others lacking hoops but featuring special markers, illustrates the game's evolution and regional differences. Ulama was not merely a game, It was an exhibition of strength, intertwined with religious rituals, and a metaphor for the struggle between contrasting forces such as light versus darkness and life versus death. Its widespread practice across Mesoamerica, evidenced by over 1,500 courts, underscores its significant role in the cultural, spiritual, and political fabric of the region. Players engaged with heavy rubber balls, necessitating protective attire like thick loincloths and helmets to prevent injuries from the formidable ball. Sculptures depict players in ritualistic gear, including stone yokes, emphasizing Ulama's ceremonial aspects. The ball's trajectory in Ulama was laden with symbolism, mirroring celestial movements and linking the game to agricultural cycles and the rhythm of existence. The courts were revered as sacred spaces, bridges between the earthly and the divine, with passing the ball through stone hoops possibly symbolizing the sun's journey into the underworld. Human sacrifice, especially decapitation, was a significant aspect of Ulama, underscoring the game's seriousness. These acts were believed to nourish the earth and maintain universal equilibrium, although the specifics of these sacrifices remain a topic of debate. Ulama also played a role in mediating disputes and demonstrating political power, thereby reinforcing community bonds and reflecting the social hierarchy. The game mirrored the operational dynamics of Mesoamerican societies, blending cooperation and competition in a culturally significant milieu. This exploration into the ancient Mesoamerican ballgame unveils its darker, more intricate facets. Far from the casual play of modern volleyball, it demanded exhaustive physical effort and carried a hint of peril, all in the service of appeasing ancient deities. Teams, varying in number based on the court size, donned minimal yet crucial protective gear known as pichon for their heads and elbows, barely sufficient given the game's rough nature. The stone courts where this intense game unfolded showcased the advanced architectural prowess of ancient Mesoamerican civilizations. Here, the competition transcended mere physicality, becoming a symbolic battle overseen by deities, with players' roles extending into the spiritual domain. The game's ball, a solid rubber representation of celestial bodies, required unique handling skills. Players employed their hips, thighs, and elbows to strategically maneuver the ball, aiming for stone hoops placed dauntingly high on the court walls, a challenge that demanded a blend of skill, strategic insight, and near mystical agility. The introduction of stone hoops added a layer of complexity to the game, making scoring a celebrated feat that could determine the match's outcome. The rubber ball's heft posed a real hazard, threatening serious injury or even death, highlighting the inherent risks. Players don protective gear, including helmets and padded clothing, with additional items like stone yokes, serving both safety and ceremonial purposes. The profound significance of Ulama was underscored by victories, sometimes culminating in human sacrifices, intended to preserve cosmic harmony. This grim aspect, depicted in intricate artworks around the courts, served as a stark reminder of the game's serious, ritualistic side. Furthermore, Ulama facilitated the resolution of conflicts and displayed the power of leaders, thus underscoring the social hierarchy and strengthening community ties. It provided a venue for the coexistence of cooperative and competitive spirits, reflecting the complex social and religious dynamics of Mesoamerican cultures. This sport, integral to ancient community life since between 1700 and 1600 BC, evolved significantly over time. Initially, the objective seemed straightforward: prevent a dense rubber ball, varying in size and weight, from touching the ground. Despite its apparent simplicity, the game was fraught with hidden dangers and complexities. The ball's weight alone could cause severe injuries or fatalities. Over time, the introduction of stone hoops transformed the game, elevating the challenge as players were prohibited from using hands or feet, relying instead on hips, shoulders, and elbows. The court's design, with straight or sloped walls to increase the game's difficulty, varied in shape and size. Some had T-shaped ends, others were rectangular, and a few featured uneven ends. The largest known court at Chichen Itza measures 146 meters in length and 36 meters in width, with hoops positioned an imposing 8 meters high, emphasizing the physical demands placed on players. Participants wore minimal clothing, but were equipped with protective gear like leather hip pads and occasionally heavy belts or yokes for added protection. Although not particularly comfortable, this attire offered some defense against the ball's impact. Over centuries, these protective measures evolved, reflecting the game's progression from a simple ball-keeping activity to a serious sport with significant risks. In the very beginning, when the universe was just starting to form, there were two brothers named Hunahpu and Balank. They were not ordinary gods. They were more playful and loved, causing a little trouble here and there. These brothers enjoyed playing an ancient ball game that was very important to the people of Mesoamerica. This wasn't any ordinary game. It was complex and required a lot of skill. Players couldn't use their hands or feet to move the ball, only their hips and arms. It wasn't just about being strong. You needed to be smart and have good strategies to win. But their fun and games didn't go unnoticed. The loud noises of their play annoyed the rulers of Xibalba, a dark and scary underworld. The rulers didn't like their quiet being disturbed, so they came up with a plan to stop. They sent owls, which were creatures of the night, to bring the brothers to their world for a challenge the brothers couldn't say no to. Even though they were confident, the brothers didn't realize the dangers that awaited them. Their journey to Xibalba was full of dangers, with many traps set to scare or hurt them. But thanks to their godly powers and quick thinking, Hunahpu and Balank managed to get through these challenges. They faced many tests that looked at how brave, smart, and strong they were, getting harder with each step. But they kept going, wanting to see what was at the end. When they finally got to Xibalba's ball court, they were amazed. The court was beautifully made, with walls that told stories of how the universe was created, the lives of gods and people, and how everything in the world works together. The game they played there was special. The rulers of the underworld were tough opponents, using tricks and magic to try to win. The ball could move in unpredictable ways, sometimes too fast to see and other times feeling extremely heavy. Losing this game meant a lot more than just a loss. It was about the balance of the universe and the fate of souls. During the game, the brothers realized that this was more than just winning or losing. It was a test of their courage, how well they could keep going, and their true nature as gods. They were fighting for something much bigger than themselves, representing the fight between light and dark for everyone in the universe. In an amazing final game, lit by torches and watched by gods and people alike, Hunahpu and Balank won. Their victory showed how skilled, brave, and united they were. But their happiness was mixed with sadness because, despite winning, Hunahpu was captured and killed as a warning to others about challenging the power of Xibalba. Yet, this sad moment was the start of something new. A deity who found Hunahpu's head would later give birth to new warriors who were meant to keep fighting against the darkness, bringing light back to the darkest places and keeping everything in balance. The ancient game they played, known as Pok Atok, was much more than just a game to the people back then. It was a big event, with the sound of the ball hitting the walls like thunder, telling stories of bravery, divine actions, and the ongoing battle between good and evil. The story of Hunahpu and Balank is deeply connected to this game, showing the traditions and beliefs of the Maya people and how they saw the world as a constant struggle between light and dark. As they went down into the underworld, their challenge was more about than just playing the game. They had to outsmart the evil rulers of Xibalba, facing obstacles that tested not just their strength and intelligence, but also the strong bond between them as brothers. These challenges were like lessons, getting them ready for the final game that would decide their fate and legacy. This game was about more than just physical ability. It was a symbol of the fight between life and death. The court, deep underground, was a place where the worlds of gods and people met. Here, Hunahpu and Balank used all their skills and divine power, moving in perfect sync with the ball, which seemed to be alive, bouncing off the walls. The game mirrored the rhythm of the universe, showing the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. But even with their brave effort and a brief moment of victory that hinted they might be able to change their fate, the gods had other plans. The brothers were part of a bigger story, their lives woven into the vast story of the universe. Their win over the dark world of Xibalba was a big moment for the light, but it also marked the end of their time on Earth. In a sad twist, they were transformed, becoming the sun and moon, watching over the world they used to call home.